Hey, Red Pill investors, viewers that sell more homes now. Thanks for joining me today on this very special podcast of, I don't really have a title for it. I'll tell you exactly what it's about, however. I had a coaching call just a few minutes ago. I finished up all my coaching calls for the day. Voice is a little raw, so please excuse me. But the content that I want to share with you today is so powerful, I could not wait 1 minute more to share it with you. What this is all about is a coaching call that I had with Martel just a few minutes ago. And what this really is answering a lot of the questions that many people have with regards to becoming an agent. You know, I've written a lot about this, as people know, and it's becoming a lot more known on Bigger Pockets and Active Rain, and as well as our podcast and 10-Minute-Skill. I mean, just everywhere. People are asking questions, should I become an agent if I'm a wholesaler? Or the other question that comes up is, if I'm a wholesaler and I become an agent, which should I focus on? I mean, where should I direct my activities? So in this hour-long coaching call, I'm going to share with you, as well as Martel, the answers to all those questions and more. Plus, I'm going to give you a huge strategy that's going to allow you to make the most out of every vacation. I hope some of this is valuable to you. If it is, please do me a favor. Share it on your social networks. Let others know. And as always, have a powerful sales day. Bye-bye.
Well, hello there, Carl.
Big Daddy Martel, what is happening?
How you doing?
I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. How are you?
Pretty good actually.
All right, good deal. All right, well, tell me some good stuff. What's going on in your life today?
Well, what's been going on lately is I've been wanting to ask you regarding becoming an agent.
Okay.
It's just something that I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Okay.
And I want to ask you, how did you do it? Like, how do you know when to focus on a wholesale and when to focus either on agent stuff like listing or working with buyers?
That's a great question, and it's ironic that you bring it up because a fellow guy in the Red Pill had emailed me a question about that today. He's
oh wow.
I don't know if he's exactly a realtor yet, or if he is, he's brand new. You know what I'm saying? He's real new in the process, one or the other.
Okay.
And so he asked me a really similar question, and I'll tell him, I'll tell you what I told him. I tend to think that if you go through your day, see, you have a unique strength. Okay, you're not. If you choose to become an agent, okay, then you have an edge over most agents. You see, most agents, when they join a real estate company or decide to get into real estate or something like that, most of the people that I've met are getting into real estate from a second kind of job. Like they were a pharmacist, they were in the military, they're retired, they're a school teacher, they're a husband, they're a wife, stuff like that. But the difference is that when they join and go to school, okay, they learn the law and how to take the test and how to stay out of trouble, because that's really what it's all about. But then, when they join a company, okay, the company will give them instruction, how to take listings, how to do this, how to do that, But again, it's that same kind of corporate mentality, right? And so what ends up happening many times for most agents is they will get locked into this false sense of entrepreneurship. Okay? They're called independent contractors on their tax records, right? So they, when they file taxes, they work for themselves, right? The company doesn't really pay them. I mean, they pay themselves. So, in their head, they kind of get this idea that I'm an independent contractor. I can do what I want. But what they forget is that they are entrepreneurs. And that's where you have an edge. Because when you came into this, you came into this with the ideation that, okay, how am I going to make money? Because that's really what's, at the end of the day, this is not a charity, right? I mean, we're doing this for money. So,
Exactly.
You think about, okay, well, what's the most effective way for me to get cash? So you think to yourself, all right, well, I'm going to go wholesale, and you do wholesaling for a while, and you realize that there are a ton of people out there that, are highly motivated, but maybe not quite as motivated as a wholesale deal. And you recognize that, you build rapport with them because you're skilled and so on and so forth, that there's a possibility you could get a listing out of this, or maybe refer them or whatever, right? So you're always keeping your eye on the ball, bottom line, right? You're always thinking about the money and how to help people get this thing done, right? So then, when it comes to making the decision, what do you focus on, right? When you start from that mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset, right? You understand that all of the lead generation that you're doing, okay, is simply a quantification of motivation. So, for example,
Right.
let's say you're doing, your prospecting calls or whatever, right? And, you're talking to somebody. Now it's just a question of how motivated are they? And now you've got a wider field of people you can call. So before, you might have thought, oh, this is a remodeled home. I'm not going to call that one because it's not a wholesale deal. Now you can look at it and say, okay, well, that's a remodeled home, and that's an investor looking to sell it for the most money possible. And I know that, 85% of the chance of the time, they're not going to be able to do it. And so, they're going to need somebody to list with, so I'm going to go talk to them and use my influence as an investor to kind of give me that entryway, that point of contact. So you call them up. Hey, I'm calling about that property you got for sale by owner. Is this the owner? Yes, it is. Great. Well, this is Martel with ABC Realty. I don't want to list my home. Great. I don't want to list it. I'm wanting to buy it. You're interested in buying it? Maybe, if the price and terms are right. Tell me a little bit about it. Okay, so then they get into the conversation, go out to the property. Well, I can make you an offer, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be more of a terms type offer, because any kind of wholesale type price I would offer you is going to be kind of low. Had you considered listing the home? No, we don't want to list the home. Oh, I understand. I'm just curious, may I ask why? Yeah, we want to save the commission. Oh, well, that makes sense. Now you start kicking in with those sales skills that you've been learning, right? Well, let me ask you a question. What if you knew, what if you knew beyond a reasonable doubt, you could convince yourself, let's say, that you could have your home on the market by owner for months after month after month and still not sell it for more money than I could despite the commission. If you knew that I could sell it faster than you could, for more money than you could, even after the commission than you could, if you could convince yourself of all that, would you even consider listing with me? Well, I don't see how that's possible with the commission. Now, we don't want to raise the price to and blah, blah, blah to cover your commission. I get it. It is a big promise, isn't it? Well, yes, it is. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not even sure that I can do it. But I just know that 95% of the time when I'm talking to people, I'm able to do it. Tell you what, why don't I do this? Now that I've seen your home, why don't I go back to my office, I'll run some comparables, and I'll do two things. First, I'll see if I can do it. If I can, you know what? Great. Let's meet. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock? But if I can't, I'll give you a call, and I'll let you know. That way, I won't waste your time or mine. Fair enough? Now you're using some sales skills, right? Closing, you used a closing technique, fair enough, right? Things like that. You use the soft appointment, to go preview the FSBO. That was a sales skill you learned. You learned, you used another sales skill, the conversion of the lead by saying, what if you could convince yourself? That's your lead conversion skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you start looking at every single prospect not as a potential listing, or maybe should I do a wholesale? No. What you look at now is what's their motivation and how can I help? And you have a lot more opportunities, I think. But that's just my opinion.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. I mean, I didn't look at it that way before.
Well, I mean,
but
I think it's important to recognize. I mean, if you're, at least from my perspective, this is the way I see it. Okay, if I was going to have to start all over again and think about how to add investing into my career, it just simply makes it so simple. It really does. When you think about it, see, you don't have any of the challenges that a realtor has. See, a realtor calls up, and let's say they don't know about wholesaling, and they don't know about transactional funding, and believe it or not, most of them don't. I mean, most of them, transactional funding is black magic. They don't know anything about it. But when you, when you sit there and say, well, gosh, I'm not interested in taking your listing, you can say that with honesty. Because the other realtor, they say, well, what do you want? Well, I might have a buyer for it. I want to take a look around and see if it works for any buyers I have right now. Hey, where were you when my home was on the market? If you had a buyer, why didn't you buy it then? It's like an expired listing, right? So you got a whole cornucopia of problems that, as an agent, right, you don't have to face that at all because you're a wholesaler. You're working as a buyer, working as your own principal. So I think as an investment, or I'm sorry, as a something to do, get a license or whatever, I find very few drawbacks when you look at the totality of what you're trying to do. I just find there's so few drawbacks compared to the advantages. Because people, naturally, if it's going to be a situation between you and a licensed you, the licensed you has got a +1 going in the door. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So even from that perspective, that can be used to your advantage. Now, some people say, well, gosh, if you're really good, it won't make a difference. Well, that's true. It won't. But it's a great weapon to use when you're in competition. You can club the other component, the other people with that. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's true, yeah. And, well, that's something I was going to ask you, too. If you had to start, I mean, knowing what you know now.
Right.
You get out of high school, would you be like, you know what? I don't need my license. I'm just going to go straight to wholesale without a license.
No.
Would you do that, or would you?
No. Yeah, no. I've thought that one through a couple times, actually. I've often wondered what it would have been like had I done X, Y, or Z. When I got out of high school, I mean, for me, it would have been a terrible idea because I was totally unfocused as a kid. But when I got out of the military, the question is, do you learn to wholesale and then get your license, or do you get your license first, then wholesale, or how does that sound? I look at it this way. They're facets of a diamond. The diamond is simply real estate sales. And there's multiple ways to handle that. You've got commercial, you've got wholesale, you got residential resale. I mean, there's multiple facets, but it's all the same diamond. And if you have to think about which facet is going to give you the most predictable income, well, then clearly it's going to be being a residential resale agent. I mean, that's going to give you the highest probability of an income if you know what to do. And that's what I did not have. When I started out, there was no podcasts, there was no Facebook groups, there wasn't blogs or anything like that. Hell, the internet wasn't even here. Al Gore hadn't invented it yet, right? Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. We still did have the internet. It just wasn't in its current form. I had AOL from a disc, right? And dial-up.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember they used to marry that.
Yeah, so that was my my old internet there, so there wasn't blogs and stuff. There was chat rooms, but there wasn't any kind of groups that you could go to learn about how to be a better realtor or anything like that. There was no podcast that I could find. I knew about nothing, right? And so when you think about it, what you guys have here, let's say with the Red Pill Investor podcast, is a very clear way to cut out all the nonsense that I had to go through. I had to learn, okay, well, should I create a database first? Should I send out mailers? Should I mail out to these expired listings? Should I, I did all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, the first thing, I remember one of the first listings I took here in Tucson when I was here, I was trying to raise awareness of this overpriced listing, right? I was so stupid. I went out there on the top of my van. I had a van at the time, minivan. I went out on the top of my van. I got out to Lowe's, got two 10-foot poles, right? And climbed on the top of my my van and drove these poles on either side of the property line and put flags on the top that my wife had sewn. That's embarrassing. So imagine a $235,000 listing with these two hokey-ass, steel pipe lead poles in the HOA. They really didn't appreciate it, and neither did the owners when they came home. They thought it was terrible. They complained to my broker, and boy, oh boy, you don't have to learn all that nonsense. See what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what you pay for. That's what you listen for, and that's what you read about. And so when you think about, okay, how can I apply that to my life? Well, let's say you decided to get a license, and let's say you decided to apply that. Okay, great. Now you've got a method, the Red Pill sales system, that you can use to go ahead and act as an agent or act as an individual practicing wholesaler. The difference is not what you are, what you do. The difference is what you are. So when you initially begin the conversation, so long as you begin as a principal, whatever happens after that, chance of fucking fate. Who knows? Because you don't know if you want the listing anyway. It might be a piece of
That's
shit,
true.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the way I would approach it.
Okay. Yeah,
And I'll tell you, here's the thing that convinced me to do it. It was really clear, right? For me, okay, I was a surgical technologist in the Navy, right? And me and this other guy, I was a E5, so I was enlisted like a sergeant, right? And so me and this other guy are washing the walls and mopping the ceilings and stuff like that, to clean it up for the next procedure. Or actually for the end of the day. And he gets a page. Now, you remember old pagers, the big-ass pagers that were like the size of our iPhones?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, well, he had one of
use
those.
them in my company.
Yeah, he had one of those, right? And it went off, and he said, oh, man, I'll be right back. He goes into the little washroom to the side, gets on the phone, makes a couple calls. Okay, yeah, all right, okay, great, thanks. And comes back in. He said, well, that was easy. And I said, what was that? He said, I just had a closing today. I said, a closing? Closing of what? He said, I'm a real estate agent. A real estate agent? What are you talking about? I said, you're in the Navy. He says, no, I went to real estate school at night, got my license, so real estate, on the side during the weekends and stuff. Got a listing, got it under contract, sold it, making $1,500 today. Get the paycheck today. $1,500. I was like, wow. $1,500, holy cow! That's like what I made in a month, right? So for me, it was pretty clear what I needed to do. Now for you, the numbers are much bigger. In California, $300,000, 2%, $6,000 commission, right?
Oh yeah.
But then there's a shit ton of agents too. So there's a bunch of competition in California. So, the thing that's going to distinguish you is going to be this ability to buy. Most agents, when they offer that kind of service, they offer it out as a unique service proposition. They say, list with me. If it's not sold in X days, I'll buy it. Right? You've probably seen those things before. All they're doing is they make an offer based on 65% of that appraised value minus their commissions and all this other stuff. See what I'm saying? It's no different than what you're doing. But they don't know how to actually close, and they're praying that the person will actually sell because they price it at a price that makes it, where it's going to statistically sell in the allotted amount of time. Otherwise, you wouldn't take the listing, right? Let's say that the market in that area is 300, and everything in 300 sells in 60 days. You could tell them, listen, I'll sell your home in 60 days and less, or I'll buy it. And they say, okay, great. Where do I sign? You say, here's the paper, and they look at it, and they see that, oh my goodness, the contract is this, and you have to list it at $299. You have to pay me a 6% or more percent commission. You got to do it for 6 months. I mean, there's a whole bunch of restrictions. You got to allow us to show it. I mean, agents will add all kinds of stuff because they're terrified that they'll actually have to buy it at 65% of value. Why? Because they don't know about transactional funding.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? They think they physically have to come up with that money. So many times on day 59, if it's not sold, guess what? Cancellation. All right, well, listen, click, we're going to cancel you, and that way they don't have to pay. So, when you think about all the different things that are possible for you, knowing what you know from a sales skills perspective and as an entrepreneur, it seems to me like it would not be a bad idea. It's just adding to your arsenal.
Exactly. Yeah, and one of the reasons why I just been interested in it is because I like the image of professionalism that I see. For example, on YouTube, there's a video of this broker here around my area, and this broker, he's kind of like you. He teaches not sales skills, but mostly like life skills and stuff like that.
What's his name?
His name is Danny Morel. And he's a local broker here in Rancho Cucamonga here, and but I like the way he preaches and everything. And his main thing is prospecting for listings,
right? And
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And he talks and he shows his agents their prospecting and everything, and I'm like, man, that looks like a pretty cool environment right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you see, that's exactly, what the Red Pill sales system is all about. I mean, when you take my scripts and you stack them up next to Mike Ferry's scripts, they're really, really close. And that's because I know that those scripts work, for listings. And if I was going to go back to listing, taking properties listing, and I would start off like that. But, as a wholesaler, knowing what I know, as an investor, there's no way I could start off with saying, well, gosh, I noticed that your home came on the expired list today, and I was just calling to see when did you plan on listing with the right agent to get your home sold or something like that. I mean, I can't see myself saying that. I'd quicker to say, hey, did you still want to sell that place? I'm thinking about, buying. I mean, it just seems a lot simpler and more direct. So when you cut away all the excess, I think that's what Bruce Lee said. I mean, when you take all the best and you cut out the fat, you're left with what's only pure. And that's what I've tried to distill in that system. It's just what's necessary.
That's true. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I think I heard that from Bruce Lee, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
he said
reading
something like that, yeah. What other questions have you got?
Well, that's basically it. That was my main concern this week.
All right, did you have any problems or any questions that came up this week that you didn't have the answers to, anything like that?
No, not much. I was in Vegas actually the whole week, most of the week. So
what were you doing in Vegas? Having fun?
Yeah, well, actually, that's the thing. Not really, because I was with the family, and when you're with family, you gotta go where they go, and so yeah, I guess you could say that. I was having fun. Were you
staying at the house, or were you staying at a hotel?
At the house.
Okay.
My cousin's house, and from other cousins from Mexico came, so
and where
every day we did something different.
And this was all up in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
And you live in Rancho Cucamonga?
No, I live in Pico Rivera.
Okay, cool. What's that county you live in?
What's the what?
The county you live in. Marin
County.
What? L.A.? I'm wondering.
LA County, yeah.
I'm wondering how many people in Las Vegas do you suppose own property in L.A.?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Maybe quite a few.
I remember one time I took a trip as a newer agent to Vegas, right, from Tucson.
Hmm.
And one of the things that one of my mentors had told me at the time was to contact my title company and get a list of everybody who lives in that area, in Vegas, that is, that owns property in your county. So I said, okay, and I did. And it turned out there was like, I don't know, 100, 115, something like that, right? And that's Tucson. Was pretty impressive to me, right? And so he says, now what I want you to do is write those folks a letter. Just send them a, copied letter or print out, whatever it is, Microsoft Word, whatever. You just say, hey, by the way, I am a local investor realtor here in town. Now, in your case, you just simply say investor. I am a local investor realtor here in Tucson. And, I'm coming up to Vegas to visit with family and, conduct some business. And if you have questions about the values in Tucson or your property in specific, or you're perhaps considering selling, then here's the number I'll be at. I will be there between X and Y dates. Feel free to call. Yeah. So the idea was that if you were there, and they got that, you sent that a couple weeks in advance, if you were there and they needed to sell, they needed to buy, or whatever it is, they had questions, they could meet you down at the hotel lobby, and that would be that. Or in your case, Starbucks, right?
Right.
So I sent the letter. I didn't get really anything out of it. A couple, I don't know, about a year later maybe, this guy calls up. No, wasn't even a year, 6 months maybe. Guy calls up and says, yeah, I'm interested in selling some land. I got a piece of mail from you a couple months ago, and I've just been overseas, been busy, and, I got this piece of mail. Yeah, I got this piece of land I need to sell. Are you interested? Now, I wasn't really interested in buying land, but I said, well, tell me more about it. Now, as an agent, this is where it would come in handy. Because most of the time, you're not really interested in, an acre or maybe a half acre of vacant land that is cotton fields out in the middle of Marana. I mean, it's just, it's just not that, appealing.
Sounds boring.
Yeah, so who would be interested in that? I said, well, tell me a little bit more. He said, well, it's actually, we've got a bunch of acres out there, and my family wants to sell it. But the problem is we don't really talk. I said, okay. Wow. So he told me how to, and what it was about, I think it was about 40 acres, I want to say, between 7 owners. And so I listed all of them, and I sold them as a package to a farmer next door for the water rights, right? I mean, I didn't sell the for the water rights, but that's what he wanted. He wanted the water rights. So that's why he bought the property. He didn't give a damn about the land. He just wanted the water rights.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? So as an agent, I was aware of what that is, water rights, and how important that is to cotton farmers out in Marana. But had I not been an agent, I might not have picked that up. I might have said, oh, vacant land? Oh, well, yeah, I don't buy any vacant land. Have a great day. But if I had some skills, then I might have asked that second question, tell me a little bit more. That's where those skills come in. But when you think about it, I'm wondering, how often does that happen where you go to Vegas?
Well, I go to Vegas maybe once or twice a year.
Perfect.
Perfect. Now you just gave me a good idea.
Yeah, perfect. So go down to your title company, tell them, hey, listen, now this is like a month or whatever before, and just say, hey, listen, tell them what you want, the list of the people who own property in L.A. County who currently reside in Clark County. That's Clark County, Nevada, right? So they'll be able to look it up. And then say, listen, I'd like to have some mailing labels if possible. Many times they'll give you the mailing labels. So they'll give you all these sheets of Avery, 5110s or whatever they are, and you just peel and stick Boom, boom, boom. There's not going to be that many of them. There's probably 100, 110, 20, who knows. But the good news is it's going to be a very targeted group, and they're not going to, many times they're not going to have a need of a property in LA. They might be wondering what's going on, and they'll keep it.
Right.
Right? So here's a continuation of it.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Here's a continuation of that story. Now I mentioned that happened, like 6 months or whatever after I sent the initial mailer and didn't see anybody when I was there or anything like that. So after I sold it to the farmer, okay, about a month after that, somebody here in town had a bunch of property. She's a millionaire, right? She's one of these real estate millionaire people who bought up a lot of tax liens and foreclosed on them. So she owns a bunch of vacant land, and she's a vacant land millionaire, right? So it's like if you sold all of her stuff to the assessed value, then yes, she would be a millionaire. But otherwise, she's kind of, kind of crazy. And, so anyway, she says, listen, I was noticing through the MLS, and your name kept coming up as somebody who sold property out in this little area. Oh, no. Strike that. No, I'm wrong. The 6-month thing, right, led to another lady. I'm sorry, the lady in Canada first. The lady in Canada got the letter. She had a residence in Vegas. No, her mother did. Her mother died. That's what it was. Her mother died. So she got the letter going through the stuff, said, we've got land in Tucson from my mom. We need to sell. Would you sell it? And it's in this really weird part of town, 3 Points. It's pretty far out. I said, fine, I'll sell it. So I sold it, right, as an agent. Right. Then, now we get to the crazy girl. She sees that I got this property out there and that I sold a couple. You can see it says active contingent or whatever. She says, you know what? I've got a bunch of property in that area I need to sell. Would you sell it for me? So now this is the second source of business coming, but this is unrelated. You see what I'm saying? I didn't send a mailer to the crazy girl. I sent a mailer to Vegas, to the dead woman's parent, the dead woman's estate. They got it. They listed with me. But the crazy lady saw me from the MLS. And she says, I need to sell a bunch of property. 19 properties.
Wow.
Yeah. So I listed them all. Sold them all, too.
Crazy rich lady.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. Sold them all, too.
Crazy and rich.
Then she's got a couple other in a couple other counties. Sure, I'll sell those, too. Right? And as I am selling them, agents don't want to go work in that area. They look through MLS. They get referrals from other people saying, I got stuff I need to sell out in this area. Do you work that area? They look out. No, we don't sell that area. That's too far. Holy crap, Carl's got a bunch of shit out there. He's selling stuff left and right. Guess what? Agents refer people to you.
Wow.
They say, hey, listen, I don't want anything from this. Just take real good care of my clients. If there's enough money at the end, maybe shoot me a Starbucks card or something, okay? Okay, cool. No problem. Business begets business. And understand that all of that, came from one mailing that was sent years ago to one targeted group. Now, I'm not saying that you should start mailing and all that other nonsense. No, I think the reason why this one worked in particular was not because I was saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? I'm always buying. That's not the kind of emphasis that, hey, I noticed that you own some property here in LA County. I buy in LA County all the time. I notice you live in Vegas. I got friends and family in Vegas. I'm coming out to see them. If you want to talk about real estate, hey, hit me up. That gives a really comfy feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because those people who are out of state, they don't always want to work, with somebody over the phone. It's cool to see somebody face to face. And even if you never meet them, the mere fact that you come out there, you got family out there, you're out here all the time, well, they might meet you one day. And that gives you sometimes the edge you need. Make sense?
Wow, that's huge. Now can't wait to go to Vegas next time. I gotta find out when my cousin is gonna come.
Well, you see,
I'm
when
gonna
you think,
call them up. Hey, you coming down anytime soon? Let's go.
yeah, well, you see, when you
So,
think about it, okay, now, when you get there, obviously, you got your family and your friends and so on and so forth. When you're there, okay, don't be so mixed up in the vacation part that you forget to make some contacts. Because when you're there, you can still prospect. Because remember, whether you're an agent or a wholesaler, prospecting is really a way of life. It's just more of a mindset, really, right? And what I mean by that is not to say that, you look at every person and say, okay, great, how can I sell their house? Or how can I list their house? Oh my God, how can I, no. What I mean by that is you're always in tune, right? You're always looking. You're always tuned in to motivated people and people who are in other markets that are something that you could help or help them, they help you, whatever it is. So for example, what I like to do, in some markets, I'll go into like their real estate sections, their magazines and stuff, and I'll see what kind of ads they're running. Just so I can learn things like the copy or what it is they say, what catches my eye, how do I say that, how can I improve it? I still get email from an agent in Vegas.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah, still do. She still sends me email. And when you do, you think about it, you learn a lot. And if you think about it, what would happen, let's just say, if you discovered a really good deal in, Vegas, your family members, oh man, I was looking at this for sale, but I remember when you were here last time, remember how you said, God, let's stop right here. Stop. Let's take a look at that for sale. Remember that? Yeah, check it out. I saw this one house, man. It's a shame you aren't here. This place is a total piece of shit. Man, it's a wreck. See what I'm saying? Now you're training your family. Why? Because you're simply aware. You're driving by that rickety old house. It looks like a mess. You're on the way to the park. Whoa. Stop. Whoa. I want to see that. Maybe we could buy it. Because you can do that. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So start funding those vacations with a wholesaling trip. I mean, what would it be like? Let's just pretend. Let's just say you're going down to the park. You see it for sale by owner. You got some time. It looks like it's a piece of shit. The sign's old, rickety. They're not. You and I both know they're not probably fresh on the market. So you go knock on the door. Hey, I'm Martel. How are you? I'm fine. What's up? Well, listen, I just came in from L.A. I flew in from L.A. 2 days ago, and I'm here with my family, and I'm looking to buy property. And I noticed your home's on the market. Is it still for sale? Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. Right? You flew in from L.A.? Right? Think about it. When people are here in Tucson, and they say, well, all I need is a California buyer. Because a California buyer, I mean, hell, they sell their home $300,000. They can buy 3 homes here. They got tons of money to spare, right?
Right.
Same mentality comes on, okay, in Las Vegas. Hey, I just flew in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just flew in from L.A. I'm looking to buy some property. Had a little bit of time. I noticed your property. You are the dream buyer, man. Think about it. If you called them, you'd get one response. But imagine the response. Hello? Hello? Anybody in there? You see what I'm saying? That's real world stuff right there, man. Imagine the power you have at home. Imagine the power you'll have there. You're like goddamn Superman.
Oh yeah, I mean, I never thought about that. Yeah,
What I'm saying? You're a G,
California
man.
buying everything.
Yeah. They don't know nothing from you. They don't know nothing about you. They don't see your car that you come up in. Nothing. They don't know nothing other than what you tell them. And what you're telling them is true. I'm buying. I'm in from the, I just flew in. I'm in for a couple weeks. If I see a good deal, I'll buy it. And isn't that true?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
if you
exactly.
saw a great deal, I mean, you saw something that you just knew. And here's what is so great about you. See, you're trained to look for motivation. You're not trained to look at the numbers or all this other stuff. You're trained to look at the motivation. What is driving him? What's making him sell at such a cheap price? And when you have that kind of knowledge, okay, let's say you put it under contract. Okay? Now you need to sell it, right? Get an agent. Have an agent help you. I mean, when you think about it, yeah, Michael Opolsky, right? Just a couple days ago, he got a lead that came in to Texas some damn where. He didn't know anybody in Texas. I think it was Houston or something. I don't know. He hit about it on the Red Pill. You know, I don't know how he did it. Nobody was there. He found somebody else in a different form, but I don't know how he found it, but he found somebody. Right. And they said, hey, call this agent here. And so he calls the agent. He says, hey, my name's Mike. I'm in Tucson. I got this property. Guy really wants to sell. Blah, 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 blah. The guy's an investing agent.
Oh, okay.
See, there are a few. And he turned around, went to the property, and ended up selling it for him. And they split the money.
Wow. Just like that.
Yeah. So when you think about it, okay, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you spent a couple grand going up to Vegas and you just happened to find something that made you a couple grand a month later? You paid for the trip.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That'd be very cool.
It'd be very cool.
I gamble guilty-free.
Yeah, there you go. See? I mean, the guy who is responsible for that little thing in Texas or whatever, he's in the Red Pill today. You know, Michael put him in just a few days ago. It's like Robert Thomas or something like that. He's a brand new guy. Michael just put him in a few days ago. So
wow. That's the agent?
Yeah.
That helped him. So that. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's the whole story behind that. So when you start thinking about, okay, how am I going to approach my real estate entrepreneurial life? You know, you see right from the beginning that you've got a lot of advantages, particularly if you were an agent, let's say, in that situation, because then it's virtually guaranteed. I mean, you have codes of ethics, you got referral agreements, you could just leave it with him, they could take care of it, and you'd just not worry about it and get a check in a couple months, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if it was, let's say the guy's like, no, I don't want no wholesale price, that's too low, you know, but I am getting sick of it and I would consider listing it. So great, you know what? What if I had an agent who would handle that for you? You know, who could sell it for more than you could, less time than you could, and make you more money at the end of the day, even after the commission. If you could convince yourself that was possible, and I could find an agent who could do it, would you do it? I might. Okay, well, I happen to have some good friends here. Let me go check. So you go find an agent who's working that area. Hey, you want a listing referral? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Here it is. 25% referral fee, right? And just here's my broker ID and whatever. So they, in a few months, when they list it, they sell it. And then in a few months, you're sitting there, you know, twiddling your thumbs, trying to figure out what to do with your life. All of a sudden, your broker calls up. Hey, guess what? There's a referral check here for you for $1,600, $2,000, $5,000, whatever it is. Oh, okay, cool. I can't tell you how many times that happens. I mean, now it's not to say that, you know, it happens every single day. No, but it does happen. And I have known agents who have routinely made thousands a month doing that because that's what they do. I mean, that's all they do is refer and just refer and work on referrals. And, you know, because, I mean, when you think about it, you have a very good skill if you can prospect. I mean, if you can prospect and prospect well, you write your ticket. There's not a team in the world that won't hire you. You know, if you can go to that agent and say, hey, check it out. You know, I'm kind of part-time. I'm, you know, kind of getting my nubs in here. But guess what? I'm an investor. I have some experience. I've been working. I've been coached. You know what? And I'm awesome when it comes to prospecting. You know, and that's what you bring to the table, right? So let's say you just set appointments all day long, let's say, or got referrals, or you would never have to take a list. You just send them all out. Tons of things you could do.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's so I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could be an agent and just send referrals and get paid through referrals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the thing.
I don't know.
When you think about it, okay, most realtors, not all, most realtors, or should say agents, most agents are realtors, okay? And when they're realtors, then they abide by a code of ethics which supersedes the law, in our case. And what I mean by that is, while you might get away with stuff, let's say legally, you know, because it's lawful for you to do so, if you do it kind of a hokey way, then you could get in trouble ethically, right? So, you know, when you think about it, you get people who pay a fuck ton of money to be licensed. And the last thing they're going to do is screw you out of a deal that they just got from you. You know what I'm saying? If you got them $5,000 and you agreed to, you know, pay me 25%, the last thing I'm going to do is screw you over, because I don't want you coming back to the Board of Ethics, the Board of Realtors, and laying a claim against me. And you can do that. You know, if you're in LA County and I'm in Tucson and I screw you over on a real estate deal, your board can reach me. They go through the board, they get to me, and then boom, here we go. Now you and I are in arbitration. And now I've got to explain why it is that I didn't pay you.
Right.
Now, I will admit I have had that happen. You know, I agreed not to pay somebody a certain amount of money. You know, that might be what you hear about a lot. You know, you hear people say things about fraud or whatever. It was a commission dispute. It was a total commission dispute. Yeah. What had happened was there was a fellow, my assistant, on a $300,000 deal or something like that. My assistant had put in that we were going to pay out a 3% commission. And she was only supposed to pay 2.5%. That's what I told her. We were only supposed to pay 2.5%. It was a bank-owned listing, so the bank was only going to pay a total of 5% commission. Now, every single time, we split the commissions half and half. 2.5% for me, 2.5% for the buyer's agent, right? Now, this one time, she screwed up and typed in 3%. Okay, and it stood there for quite some time on MLS. Dumbest thing is, another agent happened to see that and brought a buyer. And then they said, hey, guess what? We got this buyer, blah, blah, blah. We want that 3%. And I look at the commission on the MLS, and it says 3%. And I'm like, uh-oh, that means $6,000 is less that I'm making, right? That's not cool. So I bring it to my broker. And he says, okay, have your assistant change it back to 2.5 like it's supposed to do. We did. And he says, and I'm going to talk to their broker, which he did. They wanted the $6,000. My broker didn't want to pay it. So we went to arbitration. My broker said, you know, we're not going to pay it, so Carl doesn't pay. And their broker said, well, tough shit. The MLS says X, so you're going to do it, so whatever. And I lost. So I ended up having to write a check for $6,000. You know, it's not fraud. It's just commission disputes. And those things occasionally happen. See what I'm saying? But when you think about it, 19 years I've done this? This will be 19 years in May. That's the only time I've ever had a commission dispute. And I've done hundreds of transactions. And when you think about it, you can take that, get those leads, refer them to other people, okay? And 99.9% of the time they're going to pay you. And when they don't pay you, as I did, well, then you can take them to arbitration and get the money. As I had to pay. You know, that's just the way it was. So, yeah. So when you think about it, 99% of the time, I didn't make a mistake. My assistant didn't fail. We didn't make any mistakes. You know, with all the money that I've ever made, all the closings I've ever done, didn't make a mistake. Except one time.
That one time, wow.
Yeah. So when you think about it, in the aggregate, it's not that bad. There's going to be a margin of error. You're going to fuck up eventually. And that's what that's for.
Oh, yeah.
It'll protect you. So that way, if they decide to get skinny and run away with your money, you know, like a wholesaler, you know, you got no recourse. You can't do nothing except go on Facebook and bitch about it. That's the end of it. You know, I'm never going to do business with so-and-so. But check it out. If they're a realtor, you got lots of resources. You were going to say something before I rudely cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, what was it? I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot. But I did hear that podcast recording that you made with that agent that gave you that referral on that.
Oh, yes.
That offer that you made that you forgot about, and then he called you back. And,
Yes.
And it was, I don't know, man, that's pretty cool. That you do get, inside. It's kind of like insider trading.
It is absolutely insider trade. There is no doubt about it at all. So when you think about it, okay, what that call really demonstrates is exactly what goes on day in and day out in real estate. Now, his partner, I'm sure, would probably not appreciate him telling me things like that. Now, I imagine his partner probably would want me to not know that that's their bottom line, but a little skinny bit. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't want it. So when you think about it, it's absolutely insider trading. And he could get into a hell of a lot of trouble if that other person found out about it and took him to the board of realtors. But, yeah, because you're not supposed to do that. But I don't get in trouble for it. Why? Because I'm a consumer. I don't get in trouble for it because I'm not his agent. If I was his agent or I worked at his company, potentially that could be a problem. But since I'm not, I'm only a consumer. See how it works to your favor?
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny, Yeah, he can get in trouble, but not you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like,
I mean, if his partner finds that out and drops a dime on him, that's why it's on the premium podcast. You got to pay for that. I don't want that guy to get in trouble, have somebody listen and shit, that sounds like so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny.
I don't want that guy to get in trouble. But I mean, I wanted you guys to kind of see for yourself. That kind of happens all the time. And when you're trying to invest, many times, you guys are fighting to try and find the littlest advantage. I mean, just the little tiny advantage, maybe some knowledge, day or two in advance. Sometimes that's all it takes. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I hope it helps.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. But that was just something I was just thinking, the realtor thing. But I guess what I'm just going to focus on is the wholesaling part first, and then maybe later on, eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you can do is just kind of pace yourself into it. All right, because what ends up happening many times, you just fall into it. If you don't, if you're not looking for it, and you're prospecting, you're working on finding your wholesale deals, you're checking through MLS, sometimes you find stuff that, interesting, and maybe I might be interested in listing it or something, or referring it out to somebody who is, I mean, I don't know how much it costs to be a board member there, but I imagine that, if you get a couple referrals or one referral or something like that, it'd probably pay for your whole year's worth of admission, so to speak.
As a realtor, do you guys have like monthly expense, like the license? Do you have to, or for MLS access, is that like a monthly thing?
It depends on the MLS, but typically what they do is the MLS itself will charge you a certain access fee, okay? Usually a membership, and it's usually billed biannually. So you'll get, 6 months, each 6 months, right? So, but then your your association dues is something different. That's to belong to the Realtor Association. And that is also paid generally either yearly or biannually. And for security, what many times they will do is, on your MLS, how you get a key to pretty much any home. You get an MLS key, and that MLS key is synchronized with your MLS, and they rent that key out to you on a monthly basis. And what ends up happening is every day that key is synchronized with the MLS to validate that you're a valid member of the MLS and are authorized to have access. And when you stop paying your dues, then that card doesn't work anymore, and you can't get in homes. So and then you can't be in your company if your company's in MLS. Many times, the MLS rules state that if a company is in MLS, every member must be must be in the MLS, and that's to prevent people like you from not having access, not paying for it, and getting it from somebody who is. And that's to kind of prevent that. They want to make sure everybody is paying. So that's usually how the dues work. And then there's stuff with your broker. I mean, obviously, it depends on what type of brokerage you go to. If you go to a 50-50 house, where you're splitting the commissions 50-50. Sometimes, you're paying like a desk fee just to help offset copy costs and stuff. It's like $20 a month, $25 a month, something like that. You might be responsible for, insurance maybe, but that's about it. I mean, on a 50-50 company, there's usually very little cost to work there every month because they absorb most of those costs for you, and that's what that 50-50 is for. But if you work at a 100% house, where you have the potential of making 100% of the commissions that you make, then they typically have a higher monthly fee that you have to work from, and a couple $100 a month or whatever. So that's sort of where it's at with that, with the fees anyway.
Well, that doesn't sound too expensive.
It's not all that expensive. I mean, the most expensive part, I think, is just getting your license, just going to school and then taking the tests. I think that's just the most expensive part. And then, of course, the initial, startup stuff, getting signs or cards or whatever it is you want, that kind of stuff. But by and large, I think you have a tremendous advantage as a realtor, personally.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I like that part where you say that I can pretty much call anybody.
Yeah.
And anybody could be a potential prospect.
Anybody.
Either for listing or.
And here's the ice cream on the cake. Okay. So let's just pretend you got two scenarios. One you're a wholesaler, one you're a realtor, right? Let's pretend that you're looking for some new leads, and you discover in a really hot area, your part of town, whatever it is, in a really hot area, there is a listing, right? And it's kind of a fix-up. Needs some work. And you go out there and you look at it, you preview it, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to kind of know about these things. So you go out there, you take a look at it, interesting. Maybe you decide to make an offer, maybe you don't. Who knows? Maybe it's too high priced. Maybe their motivation isn't quite right, whatever. So now, you can go ahead and call, let's say, or knock, whatever you want to do, all up and down everybody in that subdivision and saying, hey, guess what? There's this property down the street. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. I took a look at it the other day. It seems like a great value. You looking to buy in this house? Buy in this area? Do you know anybody who wants to buy? That sort of thing, right? So now you have an opportunity to call them to find a buyer to potentially sell that house, and then expand the conversation. Well, have you thought about selling yours? Oh gosh, no. We're never going to sell. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's a great neighborhood. Everybody I talk to says that. Right? And then they say, well, gosh, how long have you lived at this address? Oh, we've lived here 15 years. 15 years? Wow, that's incredible. Where'd you move from? Oh, we moved here from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Tuscaloosa? No kidding. Well, what brought you here to Tucson? Oh, the weather. My husband's arthritis is acting up. Oh, yeah, I get it. I hear that all the time. Yeah. Well, I'm just curious. If you were to move, where do you think you'd go next? Well, we've been, going out to see the kids in Vegas, and, we think we'd really like to buy a condo out there, but we don't know if we can really sell our house for the price we need anymore. Interesting. And when do you think that might be? Well, gosh, if we could sell our home, we'd move there tomorrow. No kidding. Well, obviously, it could take 3 to 5 months in this market to get a home sold. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you a question. Do you want to have your home sold in 3 months and be in Vegas? Or did you want to start selling at that time? Oh, gosh, no. If we could be there in 3 months, that'd be great. Well, when would be a good time for me to come out and talk with you about it? Would Monday or Tuesday at 4 be better? See what I'm saying? Now you've got
Hmm.
multiple opportunities. You could sell somebody that they know that crappy house down the way. You use the
Hmm.
crappy house down the way as as a reason to call. Now you found a lead. It's free. Now you go out there and you evaluate it. And let's say that they're all equity. And you know how people are with the reflex no. They told you no over the phone because they didn't know you, but now that they kind of got to know you a little bit better, you seem like a pretty cool guy. They would consider selling it. They don't want to list it, but they'd sell it to you if the price was right. And so you figure out some kind of terms deal or some kind of wholesale deal or whatever. And now you got yourself a
Right.
piece of property and they're moving on down the road. Boom, shaka, laka.
Wow, I can see how when you say as a realtor you have a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
Right there, you called around that listing for potential buyer for that listing, and also for potential wholesale deal for you, or just about any deal that might pop up.
Any deal. Well, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about that. I saw the sign go up, and you say, well, 100,000? Uh-huh. Well, hell's bells, man. I'd buy that thing. All right. Well, when's a good time for us to get together and talk about it? Well, I'm not doing anything now. You free? As a matter of fact, I am. Why don't I come on over, bring you some comparables? I'll bring a contract. If you like it, we'll write it up, see what they say. Okay. See you in 10.
Hmm.
Your life
Wow.
could change that quick. Why? Because you have more options. That's what you pay for the license for. It's for the options.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And the expireds and the cancels and all the other nonsense. Jesus Christ. I mean, there's just everything on there.
It's a bunch. Yeah. My thinking was that if I was an agent, what I would do is just focus everything on listing, and the expired just focus for those on wholesale. But now that you're telling me all this stuff, it's different now.
Here's the benefit of hindsight. I thought I was really smart, and you've heard this story before. How I kind of thought, what comes up must go down, so I thought I'd work on FSBOs and expired listings and all that as the market was rising, and I would establish contacts and build, relationships with banks and stuff like that when times were good. That way, when times were shitty, well, then they would come to me. Right? And then I wouldn't need to worry about the FSBOs and expires because everybody would be saying, oh, we don't want to sell. And I'd be great because I'd just go ahead and list property. So for me, early in my career, I was thinking 15 years down the line. What is the market going to be like 15 years from now? And I was 100. Well, no, that's not true. I was 95% correct. The market went up. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Homes being sold in minutes. Multiple offers within hours of homes being put on MLS. Signs not even being bothered put in the yard. When the market gets crazy hot like that, you don't even need to worry about putting a sign in the yard. It's sold before then. Never seen anything like that.
Right away.
And then the market exploded and crashed. And I was in a great position for that. Man, I was sucking in those listings left and right from the banks. Agents were trying to scramble to get in to build relationships with the banks to get the listings, but by that time it was too late because they'd already had those relationships with people like me who spent the years trying to build them. I flew out to Colorado. I've met, lenders and bank owners and stuff like that in Denver. I mean, I flew out to places. I went and met people. I put in the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
You traveled.
Oh, I traveled. I put the time in. But here's the thing. I made $275,000 fucking dollars. My best year ever.
Wow.
And I'm a high school grad. That's it.
Wow.
Now, for some people that may not be a lot of money, but for me, that was a fuck ton. And I went to the Caymans. I mean, I had a lot of fun, right? Went to Vegas.
That's still, to me, that's still a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Hell yeah. But here's the thing. The 5% I was wrong on was I did not count on greed. I didn't count on the fact that people would be greedy and that they would robo-sign houses and foreclose on people illegally. And that's what froze up my income and caused me to remember, oh yeah, wholesaling. That works. Why don't I do that? And from that point, taking all the skills that I had, the Mike Ferry stuff, the Floyd Wickman stuff, and applying it, tweaking it, changing it, working it into my life, that is what caused me to go ahead and be able to wholesale the homes on a regular basis like that. So that's what I think for you. If you go into this as an agent, from a wholesaling perspective, I think that's a better plan, because from the outset, you are eliminating contingencies. Part of the problem is that, on a listing, you could take a listing, work 3 months on getting it sold, and then the home buyer who's got it under contract goes out and, they buy a couch or something like that for the new house the day before closing, a couple days before closing. You know how it is. Everybody's excited. They go buy a couch or whatever, right? All of a sudden it throws their debt to income ratio off, and now they can't get the loan. And now the listing, that contract is canceled. You're not getting paid. And all because somebody went and bought a fucking couch. So here's the thing, right? When you're trying to invest in real estate as an entrepreneur, your goal is to eliminate all these contingencies, as many as you can, so that you can virtually guarantee you get paid. And the easiest way to do that, to get rid of most of contingencies, is to act like the buyer yourself or the seller yourself. And when you do that, using the Jedi mind tricks they teach you in real estate stuff, you're unstoppable.
Oh yeah.
Does that help?
That's true. Yeah. That's
awesome.
Well, I never seen it like this before. I mean, now I truly understand the power of becoming an agent.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad it was helpful for you then. All right. Well, do you have any other questions, comments, concerns, anything like that before I let you go?
No. That's more than enough. That was pretty good, actually.
All right. Great.
Powerful stuff right there.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Well, listen. I want to ask you a question. Is it okay? Because we covered this pretty comprehensively. Is it okay with you if I take this, and you know how I make a copy of it and I send it to you? Is it okay if I make a copy of this available to the other one-on-ones only?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Then what I'll do is I'll put it in the vault. I'm creating a section in the vault where it's just for one-on-ones, right? And no premium. No premium podcast members. No. The Red Pill sales system public view, none of those people. The only people who can actually see it are going to be one-on-one customers. And the one-on-ones are the first thing I'm going to stick in there, probably besides this, is that webinar, how to add 25 transactions to your month or to your yearly production. So that'll be one of the.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
That'll be one of the very first things I put in there, and that's going to be strictly for the one-on-ones. But I think if it's okay with you, I think this conversation is very, very helpful to others, because I know I had another guy ask me the same question today. So obviously other people are thinking it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is, because in this conversation I learned stuff that I didn't know before. I mean, I heard it before, all agent referral agent, but I didn't know they get paid. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a courtesy referral type of thing.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And other stuff. So yeah, you could. I don't mind. You could go ahead and post it wherever you like. I mean, I don't care.
Okay,
it's
great.
all good.
All right. Well, then then if that's the case, then I might put it in. Actually, if you're okay with it being public, then I might put it in actually just the vault itself, to where the premium podcast members get access to it as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
okay.
Whatever.
All right. Well, I'll just mark it down as a coaching call about becoming an agent or something like that. I'll think of something catchy.
yeah, something, catchy.
All
That'll
right.
work.
Great. Well, then I will send you a copy of the call. Did you have any other questions before I let you go?
No, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, Martel, you have a powerful day, and then give me a call if you need anything, if anything comes up this week, okay?
Will do. Thank you,
All right,
Carl.
brother man, you have a powerful sales day. Take care.
You too. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.